Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today, Thursday morning, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, fella. The man they call Meathead, and top of the morning to you, Matthew Thomas.
Well, good morning. I mean, I know the everybody out there in listening land is always green with envy for me getting to talk to you.
Well, you know what we've failed on yesterday, fella? We failed on the fact that it was what? As I was driving, doing the show from the road, we forgot to tell everybody it was Austin 316 Day.
Well, it's a day later, I think that's okay. You don't know when anybody's going to listen to this. So maybe what we do is we go back and we put an audio note in yesterday's show and tell them if they're not listening in order to fast forward to today and then listen to today, then skip back to tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's something that we could do. That would be very fun. We'll go and put like little nuggets in our, previous shows.
I enjoy stuff, and I enjoy different TV shows and radio shows and whatnot. I'm not doing that. All right. Matthew Thomas, it is Thursday. It's March 17th. It's St. Patty's Day. What is your St. Patty's Day tradition? What are you doing on every St. Patty's Day?
I have absolutely no St. Patty's Day tradition at all. I have a hard time ever remembering when St. Patrick's Day is. I can't remember.
It's on the 17th.
If it's on one of those days, it's a specific date, or if it's a certain day of the month.
Like Thanksgiving is the third Thursday of the year.
So here's the thing, man. I always get confused, and every year I always and here's the thing: most people for their St. Patrick's Day celebration, they do copious amounts of alcohol consumption, and so most people try to celebrate it on a weekend. So I see people are having their St. Patrick's Day things on a weekend when it's not really St. Patrick's Day. So I get really confused every year as to when St. Patrick's Day is, and I ask multiple people when St. Patrick's Day is, and I can never remember that it's on the 17th because I don't trust the fact that it's on a certain date and not like a rotating Thursday.
In like Memorial or Labor Day, where it's the first Monday of September is Labor Day.
Yeah.
The last Monday of May is Memorial Day.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things I get really, really confused about. So I typically don't end up doing anything for it.
The third Monday of February is President's Day.
Yeah. Wow, you've really got your holidays down.
Third Monday of January is Martin Luther King Day.
Man, you should teach a class on that, and also the thing about how many days are in each month, and you using
my knuckles. Knuckle math with the man they call Meathead. Matthew, the reason I brought it up is because the only St. Patty's Day tradition that I have is to wear my collar and elbow Irish whip t-shirt. Matthew, tell us about collar and elbow.
If you want to be like Meathead and you want to wear your collar and elbow on St. Patrick's Day or any other holiday, head over to collarandelbowbrand.com. And if you want to save money so you can use when you're out celebrating your St. Patrick's Day, doing whatever you want to eat or drink or, whatever you want to do, Linda K is your promo code, LINDAKAY. It saves you 10% and save some money while you're at it.
Yep, absolutely. So today being St. Patty's Day, we, one of my favorite memories of St. Patty's Day, I got to just go off on a tangent here real quick. St. Patty's Day is almost always around the NCAA tournaments, which are starting today, by the way. There's about every 2 to 3 years, there's a first round set of matchups. Like opening round happens in Milwaukee. It used to be the Bradley Center, now it's the Fiserv Forum, home of the world champion Bucks. But one of my favorite St. Patty's Days of all time was on a Saturday during the opening weekend of the NCAAs. And this is when we were still working, Damian, Frank, Dave, all of us, we were working for 540 ESPN, and being told to go do a live broadcast from an Irish bar called McGillicuddy's in downtown Milwaukee on Water Street, the famous drinking area, having all my drinks paid for and being allowed to bring in my bullhorn.
Oh, my goodness.
By far, somebody wasn't thinking when they said that. Let Meathead have drinks, beer, green beer, and a bullhorn and broadcast live on national radio.
Oh, well. That's a great call, man.
Oh, it was great because I went around doing surveys and just playing with the buttons all day long.
I mean, what more can you ask for on St. Patrick's Day?
Well, you could ask for me to stop, which many people did. All right, let's switch gears here. We really don't have a ton of news to kind of break into. Obviously, we've had a pretty somber week that's been going on for the last few days. But, we're turning it around here, and we're kind of not forgetting, but we are moving on. I want to talk about some AEW stuff from last night. Now, Matthew, we talked off air, because I wanted to see where you were at first and then, help set up this conversation. Matthew, when did you start listening to Madden and Summerall? Was it on CBS or was it on Fox?
Like we talked about, I think I may have had a year or two of CBS in there. So late into the CBS run, but the bulk of my Madden Summerall was when they were on Fox.
What were your thoughts of Madden and Summerall when they were on Fox before Madden went over to ABC?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's probably, with that being what I broke into the NFL with, there is probably that extra spot of nostalgia there that may or may not accurately allow me to fully critique it, because it's what I was brought
rose-colored glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Rose-colored glasses. So what I'm asking you is, and the reason I'm setting you up, and the listeners, so the reason I'm asking you this and the reason I'm setting you up like this is, last night, Revolution, the last 6 months, year, 2 years, when AEW started, whatever it is, use your rose-colored glasses and look back and ask yourself. And I want to preface this by saying, I am a huge fan of this man. I love his work, and when he's on his game, there's nobody better. I feel that good old JR, Jim Ross, may be off his game, and he's starting to remind me of late Fox era Pat Summerall, where it's just not there anymore. Maybe that Cowboys, it's time for him to ride off into the sunset.
We've discussed this a little bit. I don't think he and Shivani are complementing each other very well. I feel like I probably have more selective hearing when it comes to JR, because it's JR, than I do Shivani. Shivani actually sticks out more to me each week as far as some fairly erratic stuff on commentary. Now, I get, that JR will say some stuff that's just flat out inaccurate or flat out wrong. I don't necessarily feel like you're getting that with Shivani. Shivani's is more of just over the top, bashing the heels, that type of stuff. I don't think they're complimenting each other that great right now.
I've learned to respect the commentary work of Excalibur.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. He's wrong as well. I'm wrong a lot. We're all wrong. We all make some mistakes. However, where do we go from here? It's always been a 3-man booth on Dynamite. Hell, it's a 4-man booth sometimes on Rampage, right? I struggle. I really do. I struggle sometimes, and maybe I have selective hearing when it comes to Tony Schiavone, because I listen to WCW on a regular basis. I heard Tony Schiavone call all those matches, and I hear Tony Schiavone. I think of the glory days of Nitro and Thunder. I'm just having a hard time because, I'm nitpicking right now just from last night. There were some calls that were absolutely wrong. And if those were just those calls, it was an off night, whatever, that stuff happens, I understand that. But they're starting to stack up. Okay? Yeah. They're continuing to grow. If it was from, I forget when it was, back, 6 months ago or whatever, where he had, said the WWE champion or, something like that, that was a one-off at that point. Yeah. But those little things are starting to stack up. Last night, very clearly said that Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa wrestled last year, and she hasn't let her remember that it was the last time they wrestled each other. Jim, they wrestled 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay? Come on, man. Let's go.
And it's a major component of your storytelling, whether it be at the pay-per-view, whether it be at the match last night. It's a major component of your storytelling. I think really where AEW is at right now, they're relying on, two well-known voices in Shivani and JR that have a lot of built-in nostalgia there, and rightfully so. And your quote-unquote new guy is Excalibur, and I'm speaking for myself, and I'm speaking for an opinion that I've heard in a lot of capacities. I think he's great. on the mic as long as you can forget he's wearing the mask. And when you see him at the commentary table, that mask calling the matches, to me, just it comes across as a little bit odd for a commentator. We've never seen the guy's face. And I think if you can keep a distance between that and Excalibur on commentary, it's one thing, but it feels gimmicked to me for a commentator to be under a hood when we're just hearing the voice. I know it's a strange dynamic to me anyway.
Mm-hmm. I'll counter that and say I disagree. I don't care. I'm listening to Excalibur call the matches, and I've gotten over the mask. Matter of fact, because again, they don't show him enough unless they go to the commentary booth and show the three of them sitting at the booth. I just don't care that he has a mask on or not, and I don't need to see him. I'm listening to him because his job is to call matches and call moves and call tope suicidas and super kicks, right? That's his job, unlike the Control Your Narrative where tope suicidos are banned. Oh my God, when I saw that, Matthew, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And Canadian Destroyers, it sounds like.
And
super kicks. And super
kicks, yep. So, but I just don't have an opinion on the mask anymore. And you know what? He's earned his place in my ear, I guess, from calling the matches. I didn't even mean to make that funny. I mean, literally, he's earned his place calling these matches for me, and I'll listen to him call the matches.
One ear or both ears?
Both. I'll listen. I listen very intently. So, all right, I want to make this part clear that I'm not bashing JR, and I think JR is a Hall of Fame voice, Hall of Fame talent. I ask you to have an open mind and ask yourself, do you feel like maybe this is what Pat Summerall was going through, where he's still there? He's got the mind for the game, but maybe the game is passing him up. That's all I'm asking.
And really, we talked about this a little bit off air, but what stuck out to me last night, the phrase that we heard 20, 25 years ago that was probably in multiple video games, that was a little bit different before the industry was blown wide open, and there was still that discussion on the credibility of professional wrestling. JR with his line last night of, somebody's going to say they learned how to fall. You can't learn how to fall, this, that, and the other. And that doesn't seem like a relevant line in 2022.
Again, we're nitpicking, but I'm telling you that it's not the first time. And I just want it to be reviewed. That's all. Let's think about it. I mean, what else can we do? Can we have him call the big matches? In WWE, had him come in and call WrestleMania main events.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I'm at. I don't know if you remember that they brought him in over Joey Styles. Joey Styles never got to call the main event at a WrestleMania because they brought in JR instead of call it with King.
Yeah.
What is Joey Styles up to right now? I mean, we pulled Shivani out. What's Joey Styles up to?
I don't know. Maybe the solution is maybe what JR needs is King. Maybe you bring King over to AEW, huh?
Yeah, but King's shtick in the Attitude Era was puppies and screaming and following the heels. Now King calling commentary is not bad. I mean, but there's not enough pop or sizzle anymore. I don't need a nostalgia act, and that's not why I'm saying call Joey Styles back over. I'm saying he's another great play-by-play. Where's Scott Hudson? What's he up to? Where's Mike Tenay? I want to hear him call matches.
You know what? You just blow that booth wide open, man. Let's go 7-man booth.
7-man booth and bring all play-by-play guys, right? And each time a heel takes over, the next announcer jumps in.
Throw JBL in there for good measure.
Oh, Jesus Christ. JBL, Taz. I mean, what other heel, color commentators we can manage? What's Jesse Ventura up to lately?
Yes.
Knock it off. All right, here we go. Let's talk about Dynamite from last night. And Matthew Thomas, we've been talking about it for a while. We said at Revolution, if Thunder Rosa did not defeat Britt Baker at the pay-per-view, they were going to do it one more time, and it had to be in a steel cage. Ladies and gentlemen, last night, we had Britt Baker, we had Thunder Rosa in a steel cage for the AEW Women's Championship, and we did not notice it was in Thunder Rosa's hometown. So let's get to the results from last night here. First off, the show opens up with a trios match. And timing-wise, The guys are setting up the show, and I know they like to just hit it right away. They don't want dead air. WWE can set up a 25-minute segment at the beginning of the show and you get no action. Not AEW. They literally come out with a 6-man tag right away, to the point where commentary wasn't even done setting up the matches. Here we go, because they hit it off. And again, we'll debate this all day long, Matthew, but Adam Cole's It's All About the Boom is the #1 song they have in AEW, and they pop that thing off right away because it's all about the boom. Adam Cole and Red Dragon taking on the world champion Hangman on Page and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, the tag team champions. Matthew.
Yeah, I think the take home here, outside of what you would normally expect with these 6 in action, the take home here is Adam Cole getting the pin over Jungle Boy. You had your tag team champion
staring at Adam Page.
Beat in the middle of the ring. So you got to think that moves them up in contention for those tag team titles.
The next match was Moxley and Danielson, with William Regal jumping in as a guest commentator.
Oh,
now
goodness.
A four-man booth. Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta with Trent Beretta, Orange Cassidy, and Danhausen. William Regal, quote, "Who is the young man that looks like a vampire?" Excalibur in a deadpan voice. His name is Danhausen. He's very, very nice, but he's also very, very evil. I lost my shit right there. I lost it.
And here's what kept throwing me off too. Regal with his accent when he kept referring to JR as Mr. Ross. I thought he was saying Mr. Ass. I thought there was some where is this going to? I will never not pop for William Regal on commentary. And my goodness, pairing him with Moxley and Danielson is such a great move. I like where this is going.
Well, this match obviously won by Moxley and Danielson. Here's the thing, however. At the end of the match, right before the finish, Wheeler Yuta yelling at Danielson, "Give me a yes kick again, hit me again," and then finally getting pinned. Afterwards, as they're walking up the ramp, Yuta leaves the Best Friends, goes back into the ring. Regal yells something about, "Go ahead and sunshine and leave the ring before you get beating even more." I think Yuta wants to join them and is looking to learn more. I don't hate that.
No, not at all. I like that storyline, and I think Best Friends need to be thinned out a little bit.
Yeah, because there's way too many of them. Danhausen being very, very nice and very, very evil needs to be his own thing now. Let's move on.
Oh, without a doubt.
JAS, what a glorious logo that is. The Jericho Appreciation Society. You're going to hear me obviously say that if they're going to be heels, you got to get rid of the music because it's sing-along time with the music, and that's not what a heel should have. Matthew, I told you before we went on the air, I had a separate tab open to make sure I got these names right. During his promo, Jericho emphatically stated that 2.0 was a name the fans would never hear again as the duo goes by new names. He said 2.0 was a stupid name from a stupid place, and we use our real names. Big Magic Matt Lee is now Daddy Magic, Matt Menard, and Jeff Parker is now Cool Hand Angelo Parker. Good God, that again, something I pop a lot for shows, but that was another thing that made me pop.
Yeah, this was Jericho at his absolute best last night. It's been a while since I felt like we've gotten top tier Jericho on AEW programming. This was it. My goodness, how many times can this guy reinvent himself? This is another great,
add another one to the
incarnation,
put notch in the headboard.
Yeah, of Jericho. And my goodness, I mean, getting over establishing this young talent. I'm really looking forward to where this is going to. And this struck back to Inner Circle. I mean, this feels like early Inner Circle where Jericho is doing some important stuff. I love this.
Chris Jericho is not a pro wrestler. Chris Jericho is sports entertainer Jericho. In a company at Champions Pro Wrestling, he is going to generate the most heat that he has in this company since he got here.
This is fantastic. This is such a great move. This is such good creative here.
The TNT Championship match, Wardlow and Scorpio Sky. So Scorpio Sky came out wearing one belt. Dan Lambert had the other one on. It's funny, but like I said, we got to get rid of both belts. Where was Ethan Page?
He wasn't at my home. I don't know. Was he at your home?
Wasn't at my house. I was having, a beautiful piece of chicken with bacon wrapped around in Swiss cheese and a nice little sandwich. He wasn't there eating my food.
Well, that's two places he wasn't.
Well, here's the thing. So Scorpio Sky had everybody come out. I didn't think that Wardlow was going to win this. There was no way they were going to knock Scorpio Sky down after just bringing him up and having a year-long. So I loved that Wardlow lost because he shouldn't have won it. I loved even more that the reason he lost was because of the chairman, Sean Spears, and interference from MJF, then paying off Lambert and his group to get the opportunity to beat the crap out of Wardlow.
Yeah, no, this went where it needed to. I mean, Scorpio Sky did not need to lose that title after a week. You've got to get to MJF and Wardlow, and that's where we went last night.
Wardlow's look as MJF was coming at him was perfect. That's what's going to make the feud.
Yeah, and that's what people want to see. People don't necessarily want to see Wardlow with the title right now. They want to see him and MJF and that feud transpire, and that's the road we're on. And you heard the Punk chants last night. There was really no need for Punk to jump back in this.
Right.
His deal with MJF is seemingly done for now, anyway. And I'm glad.
Because remember, they kept calling. JR said it twice that Wardlow made a lot of enemies in that locker room, and now that he's stood up to MJF, I don't think he has any friends.
Yeah. No, I want to see where this goes, and I think it's a good story. It's a good story for both of them. It's a good story for MJF coming out of that feud with Punk.
The Hardys, the Hardy brothers, which they can both be referred to, they cannot be referred to as the Hardy Boys. Okay, taking on Private Party from the AFO Andrade family office. The finish looked weird before Sting and Darby Allin came out, and before Butcher Blade and the Bunny Andrade came out. The finish looked weird. Jim Ross had said, I think he's good. Or no, Shivani yelled, he's going for a senton. And then he did a body splash.
Yeah.
And then they tried to look at each other and explain, well, he must have been too close to the corner. Then there was another 2 minutes of just, and then he put him back up on the corner and did the senton.
I'm trying to remember the last time I saw Jeff Hardy just do a splash off the top.
It was he called in midair.
Interesting.
It was an audible midair. You watch it. I'm pretty sure he said, you know what?
That's exactly what he said. He said,
So, you know what? If that's because he's been out for a little bit and hasn't had the timing with these guys or hasn't had the timing in the ring or something, I understand. I'm ready to move on. Your thoughts on Darby Allin and Sting still coming around to help out the Hardys?
I think we're going to see it for a while. I mean, I think it's I think they fit fairly well together. So I think that's going to be a little tandem of four people that you see for a while.
The main event, the women's champion, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, coming out by herself with no help, solo, against Thunder Rosa. I like the heels. Am I wrong that the band that played at the beginning I thought would be playing the Britt Baker theme?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I mean, or would it have been cool?
No, that would have been fitting.
Nope, they played in Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa. And she was, I don't like bringing up the fact that on occasion I will listen to Busted Open, right? But Thunder Rosa was on Busted Open yesterday, and she was emotional. She was crying on air, saying how important the day was going to be for her, how much it meant to her to be working in her hometown, to be going for the match, going for the belt in a steel cage. You could see the emotions in her, and you could see the expression on her face as she went from crying to locked in. Britt Baker came out solid. I mean, as a champion. Before we get to the finish of this, I want a hand for Britt Baker. All right? Let's talk about her reign, Matthew. Out of the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 champions. Out of the 4 champions, the 4 women's champions, who did it best?
Oh, this is Britt Baker, hands down. I mean, the women's division, it would have been Hikaru Shida, correct?
No, Hikaru Shida, you're right, actually. 372 days. Britt Baker, 290. Yeah. Now, back to Britt Baker. She owned that division. This is no slam on Hikaru Shida at all. It wasn't her fault. She was a champion during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But she barely wrestled, and I really, really think that she didn't do anything to advance the women's division. Britt Baker got that women's division on fire.
You didn't really have a champion and a personality that the fans could connect with prior to Britt Baker. And you had that groundswell prior to her winning the title. I mean, Britt Baker has by far in a way been the face of that women's division, no doubt about it. And I give AEW a credit with this build. I mean, for the last year, and I know she hasn't quite had the title a year, but during Britt Baker's reign, man, I think you would have been hard pressed to find somebody that they actually wanted to see defeat Britt Baker. But we got that last night with Thunder Rosa. The very telling sign was when they were exchanging blows and you actually had the yay boo. Man, there are not too many people in a championship match that would have been giving Britt Baker a boo. So
there was still some D&D chants in there, but when they were doing the yay boos, it was heavy Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, they waited until they had somebody that the audience at their base would be happy with winning that title. So the timing feels right. Britt Baker's stock is not hurt in the least by this. I think Britt Baker not having that title and going into other feuds within that women's division is going to absolutely do nothing but elevate that women's division further because Britt Baker is an absolute superstar.
Britt Baker won the belt from Hikaru Shida. Again, think about it, from May 23rd of 2020 until March 16th of 2022, we only had 2 women's champions.
Yeah.
Hikaru Shida defeated Nyla Rose in a no disqualification, no count-out match on May 23rd of 2020 in Jacksonville at Daly's Place. Britt Baker beat her a year and a week later on May 30th, 2021 at Double or Nothing at the same pay-per-view 1 year later, and then ran with it for 290 days. And the reason we bring this up, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa in 2021 had the PWI match of the year. That includes men's, that includes women's, tag teams, whatever. They had the match of the year across the world. Their lights out match at the St. Patrick's Day Slam in 2021 was the match of the year. Matthew, did they top it?
I don't think so. I like the result of the match, but that's one of those matches. I think the reason that it got the reception that it did for myself as well, too. I mean, I put that was my favorite match of 2021. You really went to uncharted territory as far as women's wrestling in the U.S. with that. That match, as gruesome as it was, there was a bit of unknown element to it, and there was an element of psychology present in that I just don't felt like I didn't feel like you had last night. I don't think they got lightning in a bottle twice. That being said, I mean, it was a good match. There were spots in there. I didn't like the chair spot, man. That's another risk
Which
that I
one?
Just don't. The stack of
tower?
chairs that Britt Baker went into. This, unfortunately, with Britt getting color so early, to me, this had the feeling of, okay, we've kind of got to try to top that match, but not top it from a match and psychology perspective, but just with outright gruesomeness. I'm glad everybody came out okay. I like the result, but to me, this is not in the same realm as the initial match.
Thunder Rosa is the new AEW Women's World Champion. Full face paint. She didn't even paint half the face. She painted the full face. Came out with the Texas flag. Came out with her, traditional Mexican flag as well. Man, I am so happy, and so I'm happy for Thunder Rosa. And like I said, we got to give it up to Britt Baker because she lifted that division. I mean, it was her time to hand off the belt, and she has done her job. And of course, with the week that it's been, Britt Baker wearing a Scott Hall infused Outsiders gear. Yeah. Loved it.
No, without a doubt, very fitting and very appropriate.
Okay, St. Patrick's Day 2022 is in the books. St. Patrick's Day Slam from AEW in the books. Remember, folks, tomorrow night on Rampage, it will not air until at least 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, whenever that last NCAA game goes off the air, but they got 4 more matches coming up. So I assume they're taping them last night at San Antonio at Rampage, right after Dynamite. But seriously, how do you bring up a crowd, after that cage match.
You have a nice little you have a mix of Adam Cole with Hook's music to kind of get them up. You basically have like a little duet there. That's exactly what you do.
All right. Well, we'll have to figure out something. But for Matthew Thomas, the man they call Meathead, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.